Okay. If you have your an art scroll Gemara, it's Lamed Beis Aleph 32, A 32b1. And in regular Gemara, we're on the top line of the last page of the Gemara. Just put it into context. Here is a copy of the page of the Gemara. Here's the end of the Mesechta, right over here on this line. And we are holding by these words, Tana Rabbanan. So today we should be able to finish, Amir Hashem, most of this blot. And tomorrow we'll make the Siyum. I hope the goal is to get to Amar Rabbi Parnach on the last narrow line at the bottom of the page. So we have some material to cover, and this is quite an amazing Gemara today, and tomorrow, very special Gemara as well. We're going to go through the Chabad Minhag of Hagbah, Gelilah, lifting up the Sefer Torah. I got my props with me here today to show you how it's done. We'll see what the minhag in the world is, halacha. We will go through some of the ideas of the Trop, the tune that we sing when we read the Torah. The Trop, the tune of learning Mishnayos. Important to learn Torah with a tune as well. And what's the best method, the Gemara will tell you, of rolling a Sefer Torah. All of these things will be discussed today, Amir Hashem. And we'll start from the top line on the page, Tana Rabbanan. Tana Rabbanan, our rabbis have taught us in a brisa, teachings of the Tanoim. Pesayach v'royeh. When someone gets an aliyah to the Torah, they first, let me perhaps remove just the background here, so it will be a little bit clearer to see. Can you see the Gemara? That's right. Pesayach v'royeh. Let me try this right now. See if this will work better. When somebody gets an aliyah to the Torah, they first not sure what's happening. If anyone can see the Gemara? Yeah, now it's better. When you get an aliyah to the Torah, you first take your Sefer Torah, you open it up, you look inside where it is, where the place is. Then, of course, we give it a kiss. Goylel umevarech. Then he should close up the Torah once again, and then make a bracha, Baruch Hu Hashem Hambayrach. V'chayzer pesach ben hoyrei, Divrei Rebbe Meir, and once again he opens up a Sefer Torah and makes a bracha. These are the words of Rebbe Meir. We'll look over here at a video of the Rebbe receiving an aliyah, and we'll see exactly what the Rebbe did and what is a minhag Chabad, and how it actually is different than the custom of everyone else around the world when they receive an aliyah. So I'm going to share this computer sound. Let's see. And we're going to see how the Rebbe gets an aliyah. First thing to point out is that when you open the Torah, we touch the beginning, the end, and the beginning once again of the aliyah. Close the Sefer Torah. See an interesting thing, and this is going to be part of the Gemara. Which direction should you look at while you're saying the bracha on the Torah? Right now, you see the Rebbe's eyes are sort of closed, not looking towards the Torah, but not at the Torah. That's the end of the aliyah. Wherever it touches the end, the beginning, end. Closes it. Now looks at the Torah directly and making the bracha. And now we're going to look at one more part of the video later, how Hagbah is done. All these little details and parts of getting an aliyah, where to look, how to hold the Sefer Torah, closing the Torah before making the bracha, all of these details are actually very specific, and they're all going to be discussed in this Gemara. So the first opinion, as we just learned, was Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says when you get an aliyah, you open the Sefer Torah, you touch the place where you're going to read, and we touch the beginning and the end. You do that in order to know the place where you have to start from. Otherwise, you open the Torah after the bracha, you don't know where to lean, where to start from. And then you close the Torah, make the bracha, and then open it up and read again. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, Pesayach v'royeh u'mevarech v'kareh. You do like what much of the custom of the rest of the world is. You open up the Sefer Torah, you touch the place where you're getting the aliyah from, and then you give it a kiss, and then while the Torah is open, you make the bracha, you don't close it. What are the reasons for both of these opinions, of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda? My time with Rabbi Meir, what is the reason of the opinion of Rabbi Meir that you must close the Sefer Torah before making the bracha, because Rabbi Meir goes in accordance with the teaching of Ula, the Amra Ula taught us, Ula stated, back in the day, we didn't have the Sansino Chumash, we didn't have the Art Scroll, or the Gutnik, or the Stone Edition, we didn't have any Chumashim that were printed, and many people were actually illiterate, and weren't able to read, and even if they were able to read, not everyone had their own Sefer Torah, and you used to have somebody reading the Torah, and after every verse, you had somebody translating it out loud. So you have the Balkari reading the Torah, and the translator translating the Torah, and it could not be the same person. What is the reason? First of all, we learned previously, he might get confused. The Torah reader might get confused. But even if someone is so bucky, so fluent, that they are able to read the Torah, translate into Aramaic, and then read the next pasuk, not lose attention and not lose a place, still they should not do it. It should be a different person. Kedei, shlo yoimru, people should not come and say, Targum katuv b'Torah. The translation is written in the Torah. I have my little Torah, I'm looking inside, and you say, Vayakam melech chadash Mitzrayim shel yadas Yosef, and there was a new king who came on Mitzrayim who didn't know Yosef, and you have people in the back of the shul. Remember, every person who got an aliyah had to read their own aliyah. Therefore, those who did not know how to learn, how to read the Torah, almost never got an aliyah in shul. So you have a shul where the only real people, most shuls, only people who would get aliyahs on a consistent basis were really the Torah scholars, Talmidei Chachamim, who were able to learn the Torah by themselves. And the people in the back, they don't know what's written in the Torah. Chances are they don't even see the inside of a Torah. And they're going to come and they're going to think to themselves that if the Balkari, the one reading the Torah, is saying the Targum, the translation, that it's all written inside of the Torah. That the Torah and Aramaic are written inside. Of course, there are certain words in the Torah that are Aramaic or other languages, but they're also Hebrew. For example, the word Anochi, I, or Yigar Zahadusa, Taitafas. These are words that are translatable into other languages as well. But a person might think that the Torah is kosher, not only the words of the Torah, but the words of the Targum, the translation as well. So in order not to make that mistake, says Rebbe Meir, you have to close the Torah. Says Ula, you have to close the Torah during the Balkari, cannot be the person translating. Hachanami, so too over here, when it comes to getting an aliyah, you must close the Torah before getting that. After saying after touching the place of the aliyah, then you close the Torah, then you say the bracha, and then you open it up again, and then start reading from there. Kidei shelo yomru brachas ksuvim b'Torah. People might make a mistake, and people might think to themselves that the brachas, the blessings of the Torah, Baruch Hu Hashem, Man Vayrach, Baruch Hashem Vayrach, L'Olam Va'ed, all of that is written inside of the Torah, and that's why he has a Torah in front of him. That's why the Torah is open, because he doesn't know, the person getting aliyah does not know the bracha by heart, and he's reading the Torah inside. You're reading the bracha from inside of the Torah. So therefore, a mayor says you must close the Torah after you touch the spot of the aliyah before you make the bracha. As we saw in the video, right? That's exactly what happens over here, right? The Torah is closed, and that's our custom. Now, the world in general, most Ashkenazim, they keep a Torah open for the reason we'll see soon in the Gemara. And they, on the contrary, they look away from the Torah. They don't look towards the Torah. They look away from the Torah, or they look down. Many times, most shuls, I would say, you have the brachas, the blessings, on the bima next to the Torah. So they look at the blessings. They specifically look away from the Sefer Torah in order that people should not come to make a mistake and say that the brachas, the blessings, are written in the Torah. Now, the oile, the one who gets an aliyah, always stands to the right, and the makri, the bakare, stands to the left. Now, the shechina is on the right. Shechina is on the right. And so when you're getting an aliyah, you're supposed to face towards the shechina. So if you're standing facing the front of the shul, you should face towards the shechina. You should face left. That's why we see when the Rebbe is getting an aliyah, the Rebbe is facing towards the left. But once again, you don't want to look directly. You don't want to look at the Sefer Torah, because you might make a mistake and people will say that the brachas are written inside of the Torah. So therefore, the Rebbe is looking towards the left, which is the direction of the Shekhinah, and his eyes are closed when he's saying the brachas. So perhaps the brachas are written over here, but the Rebbe, as you could say, you see, saying the brachas, say sort of by heart, it seems like, but with his facing towards the left direction of the Shekhinah with his eyes closed. So you see, every small detail is actually very, very exact. Let's continue. Rabbi Yehuda, who says that when you get an aliyah, you open it up, touch the spot, and then while it's open, you say Baruch Hu Hashem Vayrach, Baruch Hashem Vayrach L'Olam Va'ed. You do it, you keep it open, because he holds Targum Ika Limiti. He says there's a difference. You cannot compare to the teaching of Ula, who said that the one who reads the Bakarda, reads the Torah, and the one who translates it have to be two separate people. So one should not think that the translation, the Targum, is written in the Torah, because the translation is unique. Every pasuk in the Torah, every verse has its own unique translation. However, brachas leka limiti. When it comes to blessings, the brachas, no one will make a mistake to say that the brachas, the blessings, are written in the Torah. Because if so, you're going to tell me the brachas are written by every single aliyah in the Torah. The Torah has hundreds and hundreds of aliyahs, right? Probably 350 or so aliyahs, even more. The blessings are written in the Torah. And even when during the times when there was one aliyah in the beginning, one bracha, one blessing in the beginning of the first aliyah, and one bracha at the end of the last aliyah, even then, you're going to tell me that so many times in the Torah the blessings are written, and the fast days and the other days, the brachas are written in so many places. And also, almost everyone knows the brachas, the blessings by heart, because you hear it so often. Even if you don't get an aliyah often in shul, but you already know the brachas. So when it comes to the blessings of a Torah, people will not come to make a mistake to think they're written in the Torah. Therefore, you can leave it open. Leave the Torah open in order people should not come to make a mistake. Amar Reb Zera says, Reb Zera Amar Rav, the name of Rav, Masna. Halacha, the halach is The final ruling is Paisayach v'raya umevarech v'koireh. You open up the Sefer Torah, you touch the parts where you have to make an aliyah, where the aliyah is, the beginning, and the beginning is according to our minhag. And while the Torah is open, you make the bracha of Baruch Hu Hashem, Baruch Atah Hashem, Asher Bachar. You make that all before you read the Torah, while the Torah is open, and then you start right away. Gemara asks, why not just say that halacha goes according to the accordance of the opinion of Rebbe Yehuda? Why repeat, say the halacha is, this is what you must do? So the Gemara answers, Mishum the apchi lahu, because there are versions of this brisa, there are traditions how this brisa was learned, where the two opinions of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir were switched around. Rabbi Yehuda was the one who said that the Torah should be closed before the bracha, and Rabbi Meir was one who said it should be open while you say the bracha. And because there are different traditions and versions of who said which opinion, therefore you switch it around. What halacha, right? We see a big divergence in actual custom. From the Gemara, it seems pretty clear what the halacha is, that you have to keep the Torah open. Rashal and the Bach both say that you're making a bracha, a blessing, what you will read, you have to be aware of what you're going to read in the Torah. More than that, there's a big issue of, which we had several times, called tircha tzibura, taking everyone's time. The time of the public is very, very precious. Every moment, every person's individual time is precious, for sure. Imagine if you have one person, their time is precious. You have an entire shul, you have hundreds of people. If you're taking an extra 5 seconds of their time, times that by 100, 10 seconds of their time, we're talking about a tremendous amount of time. As Rebbe says, if one does a mitzvah, brings Mashiach 1 second closer, you're not just bringing Mashiach 1 second closer, you're bringing Mashiach closer for every person, Jewish person in the world who lives now, who lived in the past. And since Hashem is in Galus and the angels are in Galus, and we can never imagine the amounts of malachim, the angels that there are, how Hashem has, just the descriptions. It's a dudav mispar. Every troop of Hashem is 100 million angels, but there's no amount to the amount of his troops. Every 1 second you bring Mashiach closer, you're bringing Mashiach hundreds and millions and billions and really infinite amount of seconds. And if you look at that, even in the U.S. Treasury, you don't have that amount of pennies as they have other angels. And every second is a tremendous, when you multiply it by the entire nation, it's a tremendous amount. So because of tircha de tzibura, you don't want to take time, take everyone's time. So if somebody gets an aliyah, you say, Baruch Hu Hashem Vayrach, close it up. Now you close it up, then you say Baruch Hu, you open it back up. So first off, everyone has to wait for the time that it takes to open up the aliyah, to open up the Torah. Second of all, many times, and unfortunately I have experience in this, they're tricks, but still many times it takes a few seconds to find the spot where the aliyah begins. If the Torah is already open and you point it to a spot and the person kisses that spot, so then there is no tircha de tzibura, because you're focusing, the Balkar is focusing on that spot the entire time. There's also no hefsek, no interruption between the bracha, the blessing, and the beginning of the reading of the Torah. So those are the reasons why and most of the world, the halacha is that you actually read you say the bracha only in the beginning, and therefore they minimize the amount of times they kiss a Torah in the beginning and they want to minimize interruptions for everybody, when it takes time to read the Torah. But being as there's also a there's opposite opinions, and definitely according to the Rizal, there's an idea why because of the kedusha of the Torah should be closed during the bracha, and you also have these reasons that people might say the bracha is in the Torah, and you should face to the left to face the Shekhinah. And if you don't face, if you're facing to the left, then people will think the brachas are written in the Torah. And so because of these reasons, and perhaps more Kabbalistic reasons as well, we make sure we do the Torah should be closed when we make the bracha. You don't take your face away from the Torah, you're facing the Torah the entire time, and you can keep your eyes closed as we saw in the video. The bracha afterwards, the after bracha, there is no reason. When you after you make the bracha at the end, you kiss it, and then you close it. There is no tirchat tzibur, no bother of the public, because we're not waiting for someone to start reading the Torah. And therefore, everybody that closes the Sefer Torah before the after bracha. One important thing to keep in mind is when somebody makes a bracha on the Torah, you have to hold on to the Chaim, because you're making a bracha on the Torah, a blessing on the Torah, and hold on to both Chaim, both handles of the Sefer Torah. Hold on to both of them, not just one, because otherwise you're sort of taking away the Balkare. Balkare should be the one who's holding on to the other one. The Balkare is not the one making the blessing on the Torah now. You are making the blessing. The Oila is making the bracha, the blessing on the Torah. We'll continue with the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Zera, Amar Rav Masna. Says Rabbi Zera in the name of Rav Masna. As we did, right? And we have several statements of Rabbi Zera, Amar Rav Masna. Haluchos va'abimas ein behem mishum kedusha. A bima, seemingly talking about a bima sort of like this bima, right? A bima built up, a wooden platform in the middle of the shul. Not the actual table where you read the Torah, but the platform around that. The actual table you read the Torah, we learned before, has kedusha, has holiness. Hence, why most people put a cloth over it. So we shouldn't be. So the table should sort of have a interruption between it and the Torah. So the table could be used does not have the sanctity, but the bima itself and what he calls the luchos. I was looking for a picture of it. Perhaps you could, someone could find one. You could share a link to it, and we'll put it up on the screen. It's like a bookend. Nowadays, we have hardcover books because our covers are made out of cardboard. Before the advent of cardboard, we used to have bookends where the covers were literally pieces of wood. And those bookends, which are there to cover a Torah, these don't have kedusha. And therefore, even if let's say the shul closes down, they move, they expand, you don't have to put the entire bima into geniza. You don't have to put the whole entire bima of the shul into shemes. You don't have to put those bookends. Some say it means that there's you see this in several shuls. You have a place where you could put the Sefer Torah down. Let's say if two people reading a Torah. By us, we have someone holding the Torah the whole time, but there are some shuls have a sort of stand for the Sefer Torah that could be, it's not used on a permanent basis. So those stands don't have the kedusha of a Sefer Torah, do not have to be put into shemes when you're done using those stands. An Aron Kodesh, a holy ark, of course, has kedusha, has holiness. They cannot just be thrown out into trash afterwards or put away. Some others say what it means is this picture over here, which is just the artist's rendering. But this is the famous mitzvah of Hakel. Hakel, when every 7th year, the year after Shemitah, last year of the 7-year cycle, every single Jewish person has to gather into Yerushalayim, men, women, and children, and the Jewish king reads to the people from the Torah on the 2nd day of Sukkot. So over here, the king, this is the Azara, the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. It will be packed with people, not just the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. We'll see soon. The whole Har HaBayis was packed and packed and packed with people. The whole Yerushalayim, millions of people. The king was the only person allowed to sit in the courtyard in the Azara of the Beis HaMikdash. This is right next to the Mizbeach. The king was the only person, or Azara, as Israel, and the king would read the Torah to all the people. And they used to build a very large wooden bima platform for the king to read the Torah from the Beis HaMikdash. He should be elevated, and the king can't be in a little tiny bima. He needed to build something large and respectable for him and his whole entire entourage. And so they built a large bima for the king in the early morning or late night of after the first night of Sukkot, and that bima was made out of wood. When that's finished being used, that bima is what our Gemara says does not have kedusha, does not considered to be one of the vessels of the Beis HaMikdash. It's not, because it's only temporary. It's not considered, and you don't have to put it into shemus or geniza. And the Rambam says we're talking about a table, a desk in school where the children learn Torah. That does not have kedusha, and etc. Different understandings. What is the luchas and the bimas? Amar Reb Shvatya. Over here, he's still not feeling well. Reb Shvatya, the only time he's mentioned in the entire Shas, and he's mentioned several times, is on this page. We have 6 different statements of, or 5 different statements of Reb Shvatya, one after the next. And the only time he's mentioned in the entire Shas is only on this page. Amar, we're going to have 5 statements of Reb Shvatya, and that's our goal to get to today, through the 5 statements of Reb Shvatya. Reb Shvatya says Reb Shvatya, Reb Yochanan says Reb Yochanan. Hagoylel Sefer Torah tzarich shayamidenu el haTeffer. When one does Hagbah and rolls the Sefer Torah and you close it, you have to do Gelilah on the Pfeffer, on the margin, on the seam. Now, of course, we'll just have a quick look once again over here. This is going to be Minhag Chabad in Gelilah, Hagbah and Gelilah, and it's going to find, we'll see some pretty interesting and amazing things about Hagbah and Gelilah, how Minhag Chabad is different, but not just as different, it's different for a very good reason than the rest of the world. Let's just bring this up, make sure my audio is good. Yep, let's do this.
Lifting up the Sefer Torah is called Hagbah, and it reminds us of one of the most beautiful of rabbinic sayings. We think we are lifting the Torah, but actually the Torah is lifting us. Rolling up the Sefer Torah is called Gelilah, and treating the Torah almost as if it were a person. We put a crown upon it as if to say, this is the word of our sovereign, our king, the word of God himself.
To do the Hagbah, we hold tightly onto the wooden handles of the Torah, ensuring the parchment in between is tight and at least 3 columns can be seen. We hold the handles and slowly pull them down the bimah and over the edge so the Torah can be levered downwards. Bending one's knees may help with this. The Torah is kept straight and lifted up high. The Torah is shown to the entire congregation, turning both to the right and then to the left. When the Torah is hoisted, all recite the following.
His hands
down on the bimah and rolled closed, with the seam centered between the 2 scrolls. Then the closed Torah is lifted and you sit down holding it. Somebody else will dress the Torah. Dressing the Torah is called Gelilah. First, the sash is wrapped around the scroll. Then the covering or the mantle is placed over the scrolls so the handles appear through the holes. And then the Torah is dressed with the yad or pointer, and then the crown. The person honored with performing the Gelilah kisses the Torah and returns to his seat. The Torah is now ready to be returned to the ark.
All right.
I have two comments.
Yeah, sure.
If you look at his hands, there was space between the hands and the bottom of the Chaim.
Scroll is placed back down on.
Okay, and that is dangerous, because what's happened. Yeah, see the 2 inches or 3 inches between his hands, 2 inches between his hands, and his hands should be right up to the edge of the Eitz Chaim, because it gets better leverage that way. The Torah is mamish settled in his hands. This way, it can tip forward, and if he has weak wrists, it ain't going to be good. The second thing is that I've been told, and I can't find the source for it, but he rolls the Sefer Torah. That's the Gelilah. That's the most important part, really, is the rolling. And I was told that it's custom for the Gelilah is to tighten it. The guy rolls it first, and then the Gelilah tightens. He also gets a part of the Gelilah. So I don't know who did this, but
a third point that's perhaps even more important is when he finishes doing it, the Torah is backwards. You're supposed to, when you put the cover on facing the Magbia, you're supposed to turn the Torah back around to face face forward. They didn't show that part. So.
And the seam should be in the middle.
Also,
right. I think when he puts it down,
that's it. Reb Label, we're making our own video.
Oh, the seam is in the middle. Okay.
It is, but they don't mention it. And also, they don't show him turning it back around because the Torah is backwards. It's the mantle is facing the Magbia still.
Right.
We got to make our own one.
except I think I'll be Shulchan Aruch, right? Shouldn't you be holding it towards your heart? And so it's like not facing, but it's not with its back to the. You know what I mean? No, I think that it's like a semi facing, 3/4 facing. 1 quarter facing you, 1 quarter facing the Aron Kodesh. I don't know. I mean, I think there's some opinion like that, but it's definitely a machlokas of somebody or other.
Where you have to hold
it. Pardon?
So where you have to hold it while you're doing Hagbah.
When you're sitting, the Sefer Torah should be not tight to your chest. It should be open towards the congregation a little bit, I believe.
Okay.
We can look it up.
We can look it up after. I'm not right. It's probably more of a minhag type of thing.
Yeah.
But in a way that's harder because you have to physically hold it the whole time.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what's the reason when you do Gelilah, you have to do it on the Pfeffer? So, in order, it says, right, Shaloi Kareya, it should not tear. Because if it tears, if a Sefer Torah tears because you're having 2 tight parts like this, if a Sefer Torah tears, it shall at least tear on a place where it's easy to be repaired, which is a Pfeffer, which is somewhere which is a seam sewed together, as opposed to tearing al-Aksav in a place where it actually has words written on it. And for that reason, we actually leave about, I think, 3 etzba'is, about 4 inches on the top and the bottom where it's not actually sewed shut. I brought up another picture of the Sephardi Sefer Torah. Over here, you see they actually do it in a very beautiful way. But they pick up the entire Sefer Torah with the wooden case. The main purpose is we do a Hagbah mainly like this, right? There are times where some people do Hagbah sort of like this, so everybody should be able to see the written part, seeing the Ksav. All right, we do Hagbah more like this, and you have to do Hagbah for longer because you have to go all around. Everyone should be able to see the Ksav. I think we do that mainly for safety, that it's easier to hold the Torah that way, as opposed to crossing your arms when you're doing Hagbah and then going like that, and then putting it back down, crossing your arms. It's much more riskier. And but Sfardim, at least, I mean, it's much heavier than our Sefer Torah, but they have a easier way. They don't have to bend their arms around when they do it. There are certain people.
I'm going to say, you notice the guys, are not pointing with their fingers. They're pointing with a closed fist. You know, I saw in a Sefer that it's not really etiquette to point with your finger, but it became a thing where the guys point with a finger to try and read. But here you see that they're close with a closed, with the fist that's closed, the knuckle they're pointing with.
Interesting.
I believe they're actually holding the corner of their talus also.
Yeah, yeah.
With the tzitzis.
Yeah.
You used to daven in the Sephardi Minyan in Providence, right?
Yeah.
So that is, we do it on the seam. So if it tears, it should tear on the seam.
Also, Florida we lane primarily out of a Sephardi Torah. So yeah.
Saying that's who it's like it's the Chabad house, and that's who gave a Torah to the Chabad house.
Yep.
We had the same thing. I think it was in Hebron and in Venice. We lane mainly out of Sephardi Sefer Torah. It's much easier to read the Torah, to lane the Torah, because you don't have to look down. You look straight ahead.
Until you get to the bottom of the Sefer Torah, and then you're bending down to try and
Right. So I'm saying, but if you're leaning on an Ashkenazi bima, which has a slant, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
The Amar Reb Shvatya, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Reb Shvatya in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Hagoylol Sefer Torah, Hagoylol mi bechutz, ve'en goylol mi bifnim. Here is a practical way of when you're being goylol Sefer Torah. Now, we're not talking about in shul when you have a bima and people go across the bima and roll it. Talking about when it's a one-person job, and mainly if you have a Rebbe teaching Torah, and now he has to go from one parsha to the next parsha to the next parsha. So we want to make sure that we won't desecrate the Torah. We also want that people should be able to see the words inside. So when you're being Gelilah, when you roll a Sefer Torah from one section to another, you should position it like this, and then roll this one, rolling it towards himself, rolling it towards the outside, towards the inside. That way, he won't lose control, and if he drops something, God forbid, it will drop onto his lap. So here's my Sefer Torah. I'm trying to go from point A to point B, and God forbid he drops it. It should drop onto his lap. But if he's going like this, right, pulling this one upwards, if God forbid he drops, it will drop onto the ground, and that will be a Chilul Sefer Torah, and everyone there will have to fast. So therefore, when you roll, pull this one. However, after you found the area that I'm looking for, right? So I go look, oh, finally I found what I'm looking for, right? And you can see very clearly this Sefer Torah. I mean, it's a child's play Sefer Torah, but the children played with it. And the good thing is we have a Pfeffer, we have a seam. As you see, it was ripped on the seam at one point. Well, now I found my spot, and now I want to tighten it. And again, the Rav is holding it like this. So then, one part's on the inside, one part's on the outside. Tighten it from the outside. Tighten the inside one and towards the outside. I don't tighten it from this side. I'm tightening it from that side. Because I shouldn't extend my arms over the text of the Torah. Now it's like this. Everyone should be able to see it. So I should be tightening this one, not this one. Because it's a mitzvah for everyone to be able to see the words of the Sefer Torah. So therefore you use that eitz, you should tighten by using the outer eitz Chaim. Now, it says whoever receives Hagbah, and we'll see in a moment, It says Rashtrati in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. If you have 10 people who were reading the Torah, meaning a minyan, Hagbah is actually greater than any aliyah. And you call the greatest person to do Hagbah. Nowadays, many people think Hagbah, Gelilah are not as honorable. Go to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur to shul, you're going to buy an aliyah, let's say for $500, and Hagbah, Gelilah, you'll buy for $200. People don't give as much respect to Hagbah and Gelilah. However, truth is, the Hagbah is greater than any of the aliyahs. And therefore, you should give it to the most honored person in the shul. And as we do it, as we Chabad, we do our Hagbah and Gelilah, is that the Hagbah picks up a Sefer Torah, shows it to everyone, and puts it down and tightens it, and the Gelilah just puts on the coverings, the ornaments. So the Magbia, the one doing the Hagbah, does all the different aspects of the different understandings of what's the greatness of Hagbah, whether it's showing the Torah to the people, or whether it's closing up the Sefer Torah. So all of those things are done by the same person. But the Minhag Olam, the Minhag of custom of the world, where they do Hagbah, and then they sit down, and then the Gelilah comes, and the Gelilah puts his hands on top and closes the Sefer Torah. So that Minhag, you are missing by the Mehatke, the tightening of the Sefer Torah is not part of the person doing the Hagbah, and there's all the different aspects of the Torah. Is a Gelilah. Gelilah is the one who rolls it. So if you're not rolling it to close it, you're not doing the complete Gelilah. So what we in Chabad call Gelilah is not really the real Gelilah. What's real Gelilah is a Hagbah and the covering up. And therefore, you should give Gelilah, which is Hagbah, to the greatest person. And he receives the reward of everybody. What? I want to ask. The Amar Yeshua ben Levi, for says Yeshua ben Levi, 10 people, minyan, which gathered to read the Torah. Hagoyel Sefer Torah kibel schar kulam. The one who receives Hagbah receives the reward of everyone. What does that mean? Let's say there's 100 units of schar. So now this person receives all 100 units? The Gemara asks, Kulan Sakataitach. What about everyone else came to shul? They read the Torah, they got aliyahs, they daven, they said kedusha, and all their reward goes to this one individual. Rather, you should say, Kibel schar keneged kulan. He receives an equivalent award corresponding to everyone else. So everyone receives, let's say there are 10 units of schar, I'm just making up a number of reward, and this person who did Hagbah, he receives corresponding to everyone else. So he gets his own 10 units plus an additional 90 units equal to everybody else. Now, you can learn and see.
Why can't you learn it like he gets the same schar as anyone else? Why can't you read it that way?
Meaning that what?
Just like everybody gets schar, he gets schar like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. But he's greater than everyone else. How is he greater?
Where's this?
Right?
No, tell schar.
Kulan, correct.
Okay.
Or how is he greater than everyone else if he's just equal as an aliyah?
So it should be kukulan, no? If it was just like he gets his portion, just like everybody else gets, just like getting an aliyah.
In
other words, if it was, is that how it would be? That's how it would be read if it was.
That's how he's translating it at the end as kikulan, as if everyone received.
Okay.
Kikulan, like everyone, but without the chaf, it sounds like he's taking away everyone else's schar.
Okay.
Right. It says about like Moshe Rabbeinu, right, that he was like a candle when all the 70 elders said the prophecy. It didn't diminish from his prophecy. And there's a famous Farbrengen of the Rebbe, Yud Gimel Tishrei, Tafshin Mem Aleph, I think, 1980, which tremendous thing. The Rebbe says how the Rebbe describes what is a cheshbon nefesh. How are you supposed to make a cheshbon nefesh? There's about a half-hour sikha describing how you should make a cheshbon nefesh. And then the Rebbe says that it's not just a chassid has to make a cheshbon nefesh. Also, Rebbe makes a cheshbon nefesh, and then he just started describing the cheshbon nefesh of a Rebbe. And part of the cheshbon nefesh of a Rebbe, he said, is that he is noisim milach meladal. He gives from his own food to the poor person. That's how it describes a tzaddik. It says he gives when a person gives from their own food to a poor person, they have less food for themselves. So there's different methods of you're able to give. You're able to give where it doesn't impact you, doesn't affect you. But if you give in a way that it's that you really mean it, you give even what you need for yourself, you're giving away to someone else. So the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe's father, all of them who were very poor or in exile, and a poor person came and they gave them their own meals, their own foods. So noisim lachmai, the things that a Rebbe needs for himself, and whatever those are, we don't know. But the things that a Rebbe accomplishes, his own greatness, he gives his own thing to a dal. And even though he gives it to others, to a chassid, and even though not necessarily will you see the results of it, because let's say you give your own bread to a poor person, your own meal you're meant to eat, and this poor person goes and now feeds it to the fish. Are you going to do it again? So he says, this is a cheshbon nefesh of a Rebbe, that he keeps on doing it, even though it doesn't always see how it's being utilized to the utmost, that he gives from his own things to someone else, all in, which is the idea of this Gemara. Because look at this Gemara, something so unique, so special. Just look at the message of his Gemara. And the Ben Ish Chai brings this idea, based on what it says in Pirkei Avos, that if you learn a lot of Torah, you give you a lot of sachar, a lot of reward. You have those who get an aliyah, who read Torah, learn Torah, teach, but then you have somebody else who maybe does not have the time to learn Torah. Why? Because he's busy bringing the Torah to everyone else. He's doing Hagbah. He's showing the Torah, showing the words of a Torah to everyone. He's bringing the Torah off of the bima, out of the shul, and going to every person in the shul, even those who don't understand, and even those who think that Targum is written in the Torah, and might think the bracha is written in the Torah. And every single person, individual, and he goes, brings the Torah to every single person. Now, he did not get an aliyah. He might think, I'm a second-class citizen. I didn't get an aliyah. I didn't get to read the Torah. What does our Gemara over here say? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, and Rabbi Shvat Rabbi Yechanan, that noitas schar keneged kulon, kibel schar kulon, they receive the reward. The greatest possible thing we could do, greater than learning Torah for ourselves, is to teach Torah to others, bring the Torah to somebody else, even if it could mean that our own learning might be affected because we're able to bring Torah to someone else. So that is the greatest thing. That's what the message of Gemara is, the greatness of Hagbah. And that's why you call it Gadol. And it fits with very well. Usually you call a strong person in Shul to do Hagbah. And Gadol means a great person, a person who goes and does a good deed to help someone else. And of course, we know what the Rebbe says. Our Rebbe tells us that if you go to help another Jew, then Hashem will Hashem will give a blessing in your own Torah, and it will literally be Elaf Pamukacha, that we are able to, usually takes 1,000 hours to learn, and it doesn't take you 1 hour to learn, to accomplish, because you're always constantly going to help somebody else. But we are holding the second to last Amr B'Shvatya, 2 more Amr B'Shvatyas, and then Parnach. We're going to talk about the idea of a baskal, a godly heavenly voice. When do you know when you should pay attention to a heavenly voice? Talk about the idea of shalom. Everyone has to get along, especially Talmidei Chachamim, 2 Torah scholars, 2 rabbis in every city must get along with each other. And then we're going to have a siyum, a special siyum that the Rebbe made. We'll bring some points from there. And definitely would love to invite everybody tomorrow in person in B'nai Emunah. We'll make the siyum. We'll have a brunch, we'll have pizza and lots of good food and drink over there, Mirz Hashem. So everyone is invited to come 11 to 12. Prepare some good vart to say, something to share. We're going to conclude today with lesson number 7 on the Beis HaMikdash. And Shkoyach, thank you everybody for joining. Rabbi Label, Mike, Moshe, Mr. Nadich, of course, Mendel, Rabbi Baruch. And I'll bring up the video on the screen. And yes, Shkoyach.
Welcome to the 7th class on the structure and details of the second Beis HaMikdash. In this class and in the next class, we're going to learn about the Mizbeach. So we're going to divide the Mizbeach into 2 classes. In this class, we're going to talk about the general dimensions of the Mizbeach and get an idea of its size. So if we look at the Mizbeach, going all the way to the bottom of it, the Yesod was 32 amas long, which is around 50 feet. Now the Yesod over here was only on the west of the Mizbeach, which is this side right here, and on the north of the Mizbeach. As you can see, it doesn't extend here on the south. It also did not extend here on the east. However, it extended an amma out of each end, which means it didn't come to an end right at the corner, but it went an amma outwards into the south side. Same thing over here at the corner. It didn't end right at the corner. It went an amma into the east side. And so it totaled 32 amas, which, like we said, is around 50 feet. Regarding the ramp, it was also 32 amas. However, combined, they did not take 32 plus 32, which is 64 amas. They didn't take up 64 amas of the floor, but rather they took up 62 amas. And the reason for that is because the ramp overlapped 2 amas of the Mizbeach. The ramp went over the Yesod, or the area of the Yesod, and the Soiviv, which were each an amma wide. So you take off 2 amas and it's 62 amas. And 62 amas is around 97 feet. Now regarding the height of the Mizbeach, so the height of the Mizbeach with the kronis, with the corners, was 10 amas, which is around 15 feet. Now to get a sense of these sizes, so we have a picture here of 770. So regarding the 50 feet of the Mizbeach, all the way at the bottom of by the Yesod, so it's around from this wall over here until this wall over here, and it's from the front wall behind the Aron Kodesh all the way to around here. That's the size of the Mizbeach, looking at it from the Yesod. And then, regarding the height is around the height of the ceiling here in 770, which is around 15 feet. And then regarding the length, when you include in it also the ramp, so we'll see over here how much it extended, how long it was. It's around till here, meaning from the front wall of 770, you have the Mizbeach, and then you continue with the ramp. It'll extend to around over here. And with that, we'll end this class on the Mizbeach. And in the next class, we'll go into more details about the specifics of these dimensions, as well as some other things about the Mizbeach.